The last question is, I'll start with John, actually. John drove here, he's a high school football coach, drove here with some students. So almost all of you have mentioned that you came here with different backgrounds and different issues out of high school. And many of you, probably all of you, spend a lot of time, and you've brought it up, speaking to kids in high school. What can we do to help kids in general, but athletes in particular, prepare them for what faces them when they come into a situation like you all did? You can start, John. I'm picking on you.
Well, the reason why I decided to go to the high school level and be a coach was I saw kids, get the opportunity to come play college football at the RSA University, and 6-7 months later, grades are terrible. So I figured that they weren't prepared in high school. It all starts in high school pretty much, as far as getting these kids prepared to go to the next level. So the reason why I took the job was specifically that, to do my part as a person in society to make a difference. And I wanted to start there because at the end of the day, they're the future. I'm done playing football, and kind of happy I am because I get to see the business side of athletics, and I teach them every day. Listen, academics. So I started. Got hired back in December of 2015, this past year. First day I came in there, started 5:30 a.m. workouts. So you guys were at 5:30 a.m. workouts. Oh my gosh! But first semester, I would say the first 9 weeks I got there, I said, hey, I made an announcement. I said, I want every single kid that plays football to bring their report card to me. So I sat them down in the classroom, went through each and every one of their report cards in front of their teammates. So it's not a issue, oh, y'all got an A. No, you got a C in that class, so don't try to lie. So I made it an issue to make sure these kids are getting their academics, because at the end of the day, you don't play football forever. You don't play basketball. You don't play any sports. Your academics is probably the thing that's going to hold you over the long haul. So I made sure, as a high school coach, and these parents, I talked to them. I just actually came from a parent meeting last night, and that's why I couldn't make the dinner, because I want to make sure I have these parents very, very involved in what's going on. So this summer, I know Mr. Correa talks about having camps and stuff like that, but I want to have a camp for the kids, for the youth, so I get these parents to understand that, it's not all about sports, but making sure these kids have their academics at the end of the day, because sports does not last long. Your body only takes so much, and coming to a school like Ohio State where it's a grind. Every night and day you're working, and your body takes a toll after a while. So I wanted to make sure I took a job as far as helping high school kids and kids of the youth as well to understand that, I think every kid I speak to, I say, what do you want to do in the future? I want to go to the NBA. I want to go to the NFL. But NFL stands for not for long. So you got to figure out something else. Because at the end of the day, if you have a family, and you get an opportunity, get blessed to go to the NFL, NBA, you have all the money coming in, but then when your contract's up, what are you going to do? Because those bills, they don't matter. Those bills still gonna come in at the end of the day. They're not going to stop because your NFL contract's up. They're going to still come in regardless. So we got to make sure I'm making sure as a coach, I educate these kids as far as being smart and making sure that they do the right things at the end of the day.
I think the whole panel can agree that we all love to give back, whether it be from our communities we're from and just kids that we meet along the way. But I believe that can start before we graduate or before we leave our universities. The NCAA doesn't allow us to go get paid for public speaking, and I think that is completely wrong because so many people want to hear what we have to say in our experiences as we're going through it, but then it's like, oh, you can't get paid for it. Well, how about we start helping these kids while we're actually going through, while we're in college and what we're learning. And then once we get out and, we're coaching or training, whatever it may be, we can continue to help them. But I think allowing student athletes to do that, speaking engagements, clinics, camps, whatever it may be, while they're in school would help them supplement their income. Instead of we're being told, we can't do this, we're on TV, we're in the paper, you're like royalty where you come from, but then we can't make money off of it. So I think I'm not for paying college athletes, like giving them a check on top of their scholarships, but I think that's a way that they could make money, allowing them to do that when people always want to have access to them and help them in some way they can.
I would have tag along on that. People ask me every day, oh, Zeke this, Zeke that. People, I think that would be a great idea because they're the most influential people in the country, not the presidents, not the CEO of the companies. Student athletes are the most influential people in the country at the end of the day, especially for our youth.
And you're exactly right. Man, if I'd have got paid for speaking engagements back when I was in college, man, that'd have been some nice change right there. You asked about young people, and I've worked with young people for 20 years. Started a youth organization with my wife, the Lawrence Funderburke Youth Organization. Started a for-profit initiative. I'm actually a free market guy, but I'm really about compassionate capitalism. And
That's
I think
that works, man. That's all right.
And when I talk to young people, what I do is I show them the U.S. debt clock, usdebtclock.org, and I walk through every line item. I'm a guest lecturer at universities. Was offered a full-time teaching position at a local college here. I turned it down because of the pay, but I love teaching and educating. And I walk young people through every line item, and I say, look, this is where we are fiscally. We talk about deficits as our country, a lot of deficits with student athletes. And I walk them through, and I go line by line and explain, this is where we are fiscally as a country. This is why it's so important for you to have a playbook or a game plan for your life. Everything that we've been talking about really is about life skills. Where's a life skills class? It should be a sanctioned class, a curriculum, right, where you get a grade, or maybe you just make it pass-fail, whatever the case may be. There should be some type of life skills, because everything that everybody keeps saying and things I've been doing for 20 years, life skills, life skills, life skills. I'm even working with life skills with adults who don't know and haven't learned a lot of these things. So I think if you show them where we are as a country, then I think sometimes emotionally you shock and awe, and then you hit them with a little intellectual stimulation. That's really my playbook.
Any other comments on how we can help the high school kids get ready for what athletes in particular, for when they show up here?
Once again, I mean, I
figured,
don't know.
Mark.
I didn't want to say, I wanted to clear this up. I'm not like a person, like I'm like, hey, I hate camps, but I have said it before, that if you didn't do any more camps in any black communities around the country, I wouldn't be mad. Being for basketball, football, I would more take the approach of what Lawrence was talking about. I wish, and what I do myself, I promote the hard work, the teamship, the leadership, the discipline, the pace, and those things, but I don't tell any of these kids when I'm actually out there teaching them and coaching them that, hey, the NFL or the NBA is a possibility at some time. It's just a basic discipline that they may not receive from home, in particular the young black men. That's more my approach, and I always show them that I'm an entrepreneur, you know, and I always show them that, I always make the illustration when I'm here in Columbus. I say, you know, if you go to Upper Arlington, New Albany, or if you go to these more affluent communities, how many athletes do you have there? And they'll say none. And the whole notion is like, hey, you can get, ultimately, this is what you want to do. You want to take care of yourself. Everybody in this room of some sorts wants to be in a position to take care of themselves. I play football to get out the ghetto. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't matter what it was. Whatever had helped me to get out, you know, or to facilitate that lifestyle I wanted, I would have did, and I would have been attracted to it. It wasn't like I had a passion for football. I just like to lift weights, and football was cool for me. You know what I'm saying? And so for these kids, I just say, hey, just take the basic disciplines, the life skills that Lawrence was talking about, but understand what they are. You can capture that and channel it and go into any other direction you want. But like anything else, it's like being exposed to other things that you can basically attach that discipline to. And so, not saying I'm against camps, you know what I'm saying? Totally not saying that, but saying, you know, the promotion, you know, like, hey, this is more about discipline and structure and learning how to take advice from a man and learning how to, you know, be disciplined and interact culturally with other people. It's more about that than, you know, catch a football and put a YouTube video up or an Instagram video up and all that nonsense.
I have to pipe in on this just a little bit here. You know, I do coach a lot, and I coach in Upper Arlington, and you know, those kids have different problems. Okay, being, you know, the silver spoon.
That's right.
They don't have a balanced checkbook. It's a give. I have two children that, you know, I'm trying to bring up a little differently in Upper Arlington, but, you know, give. And, you know, I think through your life skills program, these kids don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't know how to do some of the things that you're talking about. I mean, it's kind of sad, but, you know, you try and stress to these kids coming out is, you know, life isn't going to give you cherries all the time. You can get a lot of lemons, and you better figure out how to deal with it. And that's where you guys could teach them a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
Because, you know, they do. They need to understand that my two, I'll speak for my two particularly, you know. I mean, they wanted to gut a bathroom recently and have me pay for it. And after I found out what that cost, I said, I'm sorry, that's not in my budget. And I said, figure it out for yourself. And they took 4 days. They were 4 days of school, and they demoed a bathroom, 12 years old. And they did it. And you know what? That's a life skill. That's something that they learn. You can't pay for everything. I mean, you've got to learn to do these things. So, you know, I think we have issues in all cultures.
Yes.
Yep.